Jim, good evening. Hey guys.
Good evening.
Welcome to Environmental Coffee House, everybody. It is really cool to be here after a long day of preparing. It's good to see you, Jim. What's going on?
Looks like the lovely autumn that we were experiencing in interior Alaska has ended, as we had a light dusting of snow earlier in the week. And this morning's temperature was a nice balmy 18 degrees Fahrenheit.
I'm so not ready. Oh my God, I still have vegetables outside. 18 degrees. Gosh.
It did warm up to 33. Ooh, got above freezing. Ooh, but winter is coming. As my friend Brett Schneider says, we now gain darkness for the next 90 days.
Wow. Hey, Jim, with that darkness...
That's right, today is equinox. Today is Equinox Day.
Oh, happy Equinox Day, everybody. Jim, with that darkness, do a lot of people get seasonal affect disorder?
Oh, yeah. It's a big issue up here.
Big up there.
It even affects dogs. I saw some of the dogs in my dog team.
Wow.
So
no kidding.
So the remedy is full spectrum bulbs.
Dang.
Just put full spectrum bulbs on for an hour or two, and it does. I used to bring my dogs in the house, put on the full spectrum bulbs, and they left happy.
That's cool. Kind of like the bulbs that are staring me right in the face that I use for these shows. I must be getting therapy along with the show. I have to remember that all winter. I'm in therapy.
No, seriously, full spectrum bulbs are therapeutic. Because they activate the pineal gland which then tells the pituitary to produce the melatonin, and yada yada.
Very cool. Well, let me say hi out there to our friends. We've got Kevin Shanholzer and Katie, who sends me everything, the shirts I showed the other night, and Cindy Seeley, thank you so much, and Rich Diana, and Patrick McNulty. Hi, Patrick. Kim Armad, Kim Centeno. She hates when I pronounce her last name. Climate Marcher John, Karen Reese, who said it was 93 where she is today. Jim McHenry, thank you for coming, everyone. We're Nostradamus is here, and I sent you his video last week on the volcano. I'm pretty sure you saw that one. Nostradamus, you're doing a great job. And hi, unapologetic vegan and expanding mind. This is awesome. And CB's with us. This is great. We've got a full house, and we do have a full show. We really do. And we're going to talk about the volcano first. And I'm going to start with just a little, news clip. Like everybody's probably seen it, but we'll start with the news clip for your viewing pleasure.
Tonight, a new volcano vent has blown open on La Palma. Molten lava racing towards villages, a drone overhead catching the moment a stream of lava crashes into a swimming pool. Everything above the house black and destroyed, and down the hill, it's still green.
We were running into the house, just packing the documents.
The most important things.
The lava moving so fast at more than 1,800 degrees Fahrenheit, the president of La Palma saying a wall of lava 20 feet high is burning everything in its path.
It is like a science fiction film.
The first eruption on Sunday following thousands of small earthquakes, a swarm, giving authorities warning. And today, a new opening just 3,000 feet from the first one. More than 6,000 people have been evacuated. 150 homes have been lost. Most of the destruction engulfing forests on a sparsely populated side of the island. The lava is now headed towards the ocean, ripping through swaths of hillsides and crops. But scientists say when it hits the water, it could cause dangerous explosions and clouds of acidic steam. It's the first eruption on La Palma in 50 years, but so far, evacuations are saving lives. Temporary shelters now set up. Officials say there have been no injuries or fatalities on the island.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.
We don't need to advertise for him. But so that's what's going on, guys. If whoever might not have understood that it was really serious, I was watching video today that Torstein from Greenland sent, and the guy was talking about how scared people are. Serious things are happening. The lava's flowing. I mean, burning. It burns your farmland. It burns your home. You have to go. So, Jim, I know you're not a geologist. I mean, wait, that's what you said? But you are you're an academic, and you are an oceanographer, and you know a little bit about the tsunamis. And of course, we were looking at all this information, and I do have another video for you guys. So, what do you think? What do you think of this one?
Well, you have to, the obvious comparison comes up to with the Hawaiian islands, but the Hawaiian islands the volcanoes are different than the La Palma is. The geology is different. The lava that comes out of the Hawaiian, they're called shield volcanoes. They tend to be, the lava tends to be, I guess you could say, a bit runny. The viscosity is less, so it spreads out more readily. Still, of course, hot and still, kind of burn things in its path, but it's not as explosive as the La Palma type of volcano is, which I guess from the fact that it forms steep walls indicates to me that it could be pyroclastic in nature, and pyroclastic. It can be explosive.
And what is the
bit,
definition specifically for those of us who have no clue?
Pyro means fire, and,
Yes.
and clastic refers to the type of mineral. There's also a lot of pockets within the rock. It has less density than the shield volcano, which is really like almost a heavy basaltic igneous type of rock. So these pockets are filled with gases. So now it impacts the water, and then the water plus the gases goes boom, and so that was the explosion that they were referring to if the lava reaches the water.
It is scary. It is.
Pyroclastic flows are nasty shit. Look what happened when the Mount St. Helens blew out the side. It would just have massive pyroclastic flows, and it will devastate anything in its path. So shield volcanoes are slow moving when the lava oozes out. Really, pyroclastics, they're explosive. They move fast, and there's less time to get out of their way than with a shield volcano.
Well, they're evacuating people, so I mean, they are definitely.
That's the correct move.
Good. Well, listen, let's look at this other video that I have recorded, and then we can kind of debate it, discuss it, and you tell me what you think. And we have another article after this, so you guys watch this, and let's all talk about it.
Tonight, a new volcano vent has blown open on La Palma. Molten lava racing towards villagers, a drone overhead catching the moment, a stream of lava.
Wrong one. I screwed up. Okay, wait, I'll get the right one. Sorry. Oh, well, the show's not perfect.
A slide from this mountain could kill millions of people in Europe and along America's eastern seaboard. Some eminent scientists warn that it's purely a matter of time till it happens. This is the volcanic island of La Palma, 700 miles off the northwest coast of Africa. It's a newborn baby island, barely past its 4 millionth birthday, created in the last stage of what geologists call the rock cycle. Volcanoes can form land in various ways. In Hawaii, lava gently pours from vents in the ground to build up almost horizontal layers of new rock. But elsewhere, as here on La Palma, more violent eruptions build steep-sided cones with surrounding layers of thick ash. Eruptions in the past 60 years have jolted this island to the core, creating a fault line, a crack you can walk through, along the island's central spine, 6,000 feet above the Atlantic Ocean. On the western side of the fault, the land fell 13 feet down, then stopped. Geologist Bill McGuire and other scientists say gas pressures could build up in a future eruption and crack open the island along this fault line. They have traced the fault for at least 9 miles along the island ridge. And they believe the fault is so long that when it cracks open, 500 billion tons of rock will slide thousands of feet down into the ocean.
So it's going to go during a future eruption, there's no doubt about that. The problem is eruptions occur sometimes every 20 years, sometimes every 200 years.
McGuire paints a terrifying fantasy picture of what anyone standing on the top of the landslide would see and hear.
I don't know if anybody's heard the noise made by this amount of rock sliding against another great chunk of rock, but I always imagine it as if there are a million fingers scraping down a blackboard.
The slide will reach a speed of more than 220 miles per hour.
So you'd be hurtling down the slope of the volcano. It would start to break up into smaller pieces as it entered the ocean, but by then it would already have displaced something like half a mile of water, which would be towering above your head, and that would be probably the last thing you'd ever see. Spectacular way to die.
McGuire believes the impact with the ocean will create a dome of water nearly 3,000 feet high.
This is a mass of rock which is probably bigger than Manhattan Island, and when it collapses it will generate ocean-wide tsunami, which will be at least as devastating as those that struck the Indian Ocean.
The vast amount of energy pumped into the ocean will create what one scientist has called a mega tsunami. Tsunami waves racing out in all directions. Computer predictions suggest they could even travel 4,000 miles toward the eastern seaboard of the United States, losing some, but not all of their power along the way.
That wave will travel all the way across the Atlantic Ocean to the east coast of North America. But the water itself won't move all the way across. The individual particles in the water will transmit the energy to one another. And we can demonstrate that quite nicely on a pool table here, where the energy from this first ball I'm going to hit is transmitted through all the others to the last one.
Just as energy moves from ball to ball, so the landslide energy transfers from water particle to water particle across the ocean. As the landslide's energy approaches the coast, it builds up into a massive wall of water. These deep reds and blues are computer predictions of waves 100 feet high and more.
The level of destruction is difficult to quantify. It is going to be enormous, there's no doubt about that. If people are still in the cities when the collapse occurs, you may be considering millions of casualties.
Wow. Now, take everything with a grain of salt, like you told me. And, oh, hi, Kimbits Fatih. I have to shut this off. We have a new person with us. I have to say hello and shut this off. Okay. Hi. He said a large part of air pollution is caused by, he's got a huge comment, but welcome. A large part of air pollution is caused by volcanic activity, but we have a crisis worse than the climate change. The main cause of rainfall in Greenland and the burning trees. Okay, it's a long one. He's been researching for 30 years, and for the first time, he's raised the issue of the theory of the world natural suffocation cycle. Oh, Jim, it looks like we could have something new to talk about. Well, thank you for that. We will come back to that. I'm gonna take your comment and I'm gonna put it into the for later to talk about, because we have a new follower who sounds very compelling and interesting. Thank you for being here. All right. So we watched that vid and then you said, okay, we have to take it with a grain of salt. And there was the other one. And that's when I pulled up this, which is La Palma volcano, rumors of feared mega tsunami debunked by experts. So would you like to discuss that? You want me to leave it
Well,
up, or do you want
basically,
to just talk about it?
yeah, it's either I can try and pull it up over here. Basically, what they're saying is that in order for that scenario that was painted in that video, you have to have a trifecta of various components, aspects coming together precisely at the right time. You have to have a strong enough quake. You have to have a strong enough eruption at the same time, and then you have to have simultaneously, basically all at once, that entire slab of rock at all letting loose at the exact same time,
Right.
dumping into the ocean. What these experts are saying is that that is not likely to happen, that it will break off in pieces. So therefore, their conclusion, I'm just giving a synopsis, their
Right.
conclusion is that this is extremely unlikely event. Now, listen, watching that video, there's some things that I was like, for example, the rock could reach over 200 miles per hour. That, okay, yes, it might be 6,000 foot elevation, but I really, even if it's steep walls and so forth, you have the rock sliding, there's still friction with whatever rock's remaining. It's not really conceivable to me to reach that speed in such a short distance and time. I could be completely wrong, but just look, just from a momentum aspect and a frictional aspect, I don't see that slab hitting the ocean at 200 miles per hour.
And it's been debunked. They said the fears were based on a 20-year-old scientific paper and
Right.
documentary. So so that these people say that we don't have to worry so much.
Right, and that's what I say. Well, that second video that you showed, I was calling into question some of those calculated values, and that to me, if because if you have this big slab of rock hitting 200 miles per hour, that of course you got momentum. That is a lot of energy that will be transformed, and yes, it will do something to the ocean. Half a mile high or something like that. Is that half a mile basin wide or localized? That still seems like an overestimation. A dome of whatever he said it was. Again, I just questioned some of those values that were mentioned in the video. It does not
Okay.
seem likely.
Well, Patrick says, let's see, he said water can lubricate it.
He's referring to, we see this, for example, with Greenland, with the ice sheets, the meltwater basically goes all the way down through the ice, lubricates the substrate, and yes, then the ice slides on that water, lubricating. But
Okay.
you have to look at the slope. This La Palma has a very steep slope, so I don't see much lubrication taking place in there, or of sufficient, amount, because of take the sine of the angle kind of stuff going on. That I still see overcoming frictional forces as an impediment to hitting those high speeds.
Okay. Well, the and then Patrick then responded with or could ride on a steam bubble. That's I don't know much about these other than I've watched them.
I don't
Steam
know.
bubble. I don't know either.
I'm
I
not
don't
I'm
know
not a
either.
volcanologist.
No, but you're pretty damn smart. So it was just, well, these guys, they had said, he said the hypothesis of a massive collapse leading to the mega tsunami has been rebutted and discarded. He points out that the collapse of the old summit would require a vast and extremely unlikely combination of eruption and earthquake, or for the volcano to grow bigger. So he said the old summit's
Right.
flank to meet conditions close to stability would have to occur simultaneously. So
Well,
I
that
suppose.
goes to the point I was making earlier that you need a perfect coming together of a bunch of things, including an extremely strong quake, uh, coinciding with an extremely strong volcanic event, coinciding with a sufficient slab of rock,
Yeah,
and
okay. You need the trifecta of things.
yeah.
Yes.
I
Okay.
mean, I can see something if you have like a narrow fjord-like situation. We have a narrow inlet, and you have a seismic event that drops a pile of rock in. I can see creating a local tsunami. You know, kind of what
Okay.
happened with the Good Friday quake up here in Alaska in '64, the 9.2, 9.1 that struck. Valdez got literally the old town of Valdez literally got wiped off the map because it was in Prince William Sound at the end of an inlet.
Oh,
So the
wow.
tsunami just got funneled right into that. So yeah, it was a wall of water, but it wasn't hundreds of miles in length. It was concentrated, and it literally just took out the town.
Dang. Well, it's scary. I think they are frightening. They are not related to climate change per se.
No.
It is a geological event, and they happen and they're fascinating to everyone because they can cause so much damage, loss of life, loss of livestock. I mean, the people there now are terrified. They are terrified, but this is one we can't say this is a simply natural phenomenon unless anybody in the chat wants to argue that. Also, Matt Nelson's not here. He would argue it.
Well, it is a natural phenomenon, and the people there have every right to be worried and concerned. I would be too if I were there.
Yeah.
So
I mean, look at the pictures. Look at the pictures of what's going on. It's just sad and scary. And the Iceland volcano that's been on. I have had that up on YouTube for weeks and weeks. They have a live camera in Iceland, and it's beautiful. It's actually very calming to watch, but they don't have nearly
yeah.
the population. No, 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 no.
One thing I like, I saw some documentary where a seismologist, volcanologist, something like that, he was swimming in some water, and he was talking through his scuba gear, and he literally had his hands out, and he goes, "This hand is touching the North American plate. This hand is touching the Eurasian plate,"
Oh,
something like that. So he was literally
balancing
where
plates.
two tectonic plates were meeting. And I thought that was really awesome.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
going to Iceland is actually on my bucket list.
Oh, but that's your bucket list. Going to your house is on my bucket list. I mean, really, seriously, going to your house is my bucket list. But you know, who knows? And that if it'll ever happen, we don't know. I don't want to fly. How am I going to get there? Borrow my Amish
Road trip.
neighbors. Yeah, road trip. Yeah, but remember, for me, what is that? I think I charted it's like 5,000 miles. Do you know what? If I by
Sounds
the time
about right.
I couldn't walk by the time I got there. I go to Hambone's house like freaking have a backache.
Your best bet from where you're at is to hop right over into Canada and just
Yeah.
slam the TCH across.
Right across. Well, but then how do I get Jennifer? She has to meet me then because she wants to come too. We both want to come. We're both coming. We've told Jim. We're threatening Jim. We're coming.
You could let's see, Colorado. You can meet up in Banff.
Oh, where's that?
Banff. That's
mid-Canada?
south of yeah, it's in Alberta.
Oh, okay, in Alberta.
Banff National Provincial Park. It's gorgeous. It's Rocky Mountains. You have to see that on the way out there.
That sounds
Uh,
beautiful.
I went through there one time, and I happened to time it when the elk were migrating through town.
Really?
Here's a bunch of elk walking down Main Street.
Oh my God. That's a cool view though.
And
Yeah.
we're talking hundreds and hundreds of them, not like a handful. Like
Yeah.
they were all over the place.
Is it still like that, or has a man encroached and destroyed that too? Isn't Alberta where the tar sands are?
That's way further north than where Banff is. Actually, if I remember correctly, south of Calgary, and Calgary's south of
Okay.
Edmonton. So,
Oh, Canada's a
but
nice country.
it is a provincial park, and I think it has protections.
Okay, that sounds
The
calming.
Icefield Parkway is a road that kind of like snakes through all of that. It's gorgeous.
Really? Oh, I just have visions. I feel like selling everything and just saying screw it and making that big trip. But, I have to come home and have a roof on my house too. Oh, we can dream. We can dream. You can take videos of where you live. But I'd love to see you get to Iceland too. My brother went to Iceland and it was a magnificent trip. That was one of the first trips he took with his wife. In the last 4 years, they were in Iceland. They've been in Cuba. They went all over because they don't care about burning fossil fuels. Although I love my brother, and if he's listening, I love you, Glenn. And he just sold his airplane, so he's not going to be burning fossil fuels like that anymore. It is what it is, right? He had a little I forget what it was, a Mooney, but it's cost prohibitive, and it burns fuel, and it's expensive. It's very expensive hobby for somebody that
Yeah, my
Yeah.
brother has his own plane, and he's always talking about, oh, I have to spend this much for my annual and blah blah blah.
Right,
And
right.
I'm like, and you're not getting any sympathy from me.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
you obviously
I
got that
hear
money
you.
to burn, and no sympathy from me.
Well, not everybody does, but it's a hobby that's quite expensive. But I think a lot of people in Alaska have little planes to get all over, and my nephew, he flew bush planes in Alaska for 5 years. He was on that show,
Yeah.
Flying Wild Alaska. They featured
Oh,
him.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah, Jonathan, and now he's a trainer for a big airline, but he went to the big planes. Now he trains. That's how old he is, and that's how old I am. He grew up. Oh my
I think
gosh.
there's some statistics saying that Alaska has the most per capita owners of airplanes than any other place in the U.S. And might even be that there are more pilots than people with vehicles. There's some crazy stuff like that.
Well,
Go to Merrill Field outside Anchorage, and it's nothing but
nothing.
small planes.
Well, isn't that because you can't really? The roads are prohibitive in the winter, but if you can de-ice your plane, you can basically get to where you need to if you have the right.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, if you're going to fly visual up there, you have to just do it in the day, and if you're going to go, IFR, then it's going to be a little bit different.
And when you get into like December and January, if you're
Yeah.
doing VFR,
Oh, no.
you might as well just stay on the ground.
Hang
Because
around.
you're talking about 2-3 hours of daylight, usable daylight.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, then that would be just making a quick jump from one little thing to I'm going to the grocery store, Marge, and getting in the plane and coming right home. And she'll say, I just come right home. Jeez. Well, those of us that were glued to the TV when I had that kind of TV to the Alaska shows, it gives you that romanticism of Alaska and how cool it is. And it is for me because I hate sweating and heat. I would never live in a hot climate. And where I live now was not a hot climate. But of course, it's changing.
Well, when you see the conditions, the 40 below and the wind chill and so forth, it gives you a real appreciation for what the pioneering aviators were doing. Flying in open cockpits and the Ben Eilsons and of the day. We have Eielson Air Force Base named after him. We have Greening Field. It's just all these pioneering aviators. You go when you show up at the Fairbanks airport. There's hanging from the ceiling, basically, is Ben Eilson's airplane, a
Wow.
biplane that he
Yeah.
flew when it was like 45, 50 below. And that's ambient. You throw in a wind chill, and it's 80, 90 below.
Did he still have a nose? It's the thing that
They
sticks
they
with-
wore they wore protective gear,
Yeah, lots of it.
as best as you can.
Lots of it. Holy crap. Hey, really
In fact,
quickly. Oh, go ahead.
When they were thinking about getting the serum out to Nome because of the diphtheria outbreak, one of the options they looked at was flying the serum out there, and they decided against it because it was one of the coldest winters going, and the airplane was new, and they weren't sure it would hold up. Radiators, and coolant, so they were concerned about that. So they decided to go with the traditional thing of dog sled teams,
There you go.
and that's
Woof,
that's how
woof.
they got the serum out there, and that's what the basis of the Iditarod sled dog race is all about.
Oh, let's hear it for dog sled teams. That's what I'm talking about. Although, from what I've heard, that even the mushers are having trouble because of climate change with their paths and their trails and not having enough snow in certain places.
Yeah.
That's true, huh? Wow.
Oh yeah. There was one year that the Iditarod, which usually has the ceremonial start
Yeah.
in Anchorage, 4th Street. One year they had to truck in snow for the ceremonial start. Then they loaded everyone else up, and they came to Fairbanks because usually they go to Wasilla to have the actual start, and there wasn't enough snow in Wasilla.
Sarah Palin
And-
territory.
Yeah.
Isn't that where she lives?
Yeah, yeah. Bye, Sarah.
I can see Russia from my house.
Yeah, we'll toss you in the Bering Sea. But anyway, so they all came up to Fairbanks. So I was there, and I was filming away a
Wow.
bunch of film dog teams and stuff like that. But
Can you
yeah,
ever
that was
share that? Is that film that you'd have to transfer onto?
no. I've got an MP whatever
Really?
MOV format. It's just personal stuff.
Oh, but it's probably so cool. I'll make a movie for you. I'll make a vid for you. Send the stuff to me. I'll make you.
I mean, it's just little 30-second bits here and there.
Aw. Well, we
here
really
comes the
love
team
hearing
coming
this.
by. Okay, here's a bunch of dogs jumping around. Okay.
Well, we love all this. This is great. I love talking like this and hearing about, your life. God knows everybody knows my life. It's boring. Yours is fascinating, actually.
Yeah, I used to have a sled dog team.
That's cool.
Yep.
I know you don't have dogs anymore. I know.
No.
Everybody's enjoying. Everybody's in the chat having a good time. Hi, Cindy Seeley. She says it's 40 there. And, Kim grew up in Minnesota where she's seen minus 70 wild wind chills. Minus 70 wind chills, which is, we know that. But, yeah, I like the cold, though. I'll take it over
The
sweating
coldest
hot.
I've ever experienced was minus 72 Fahrenheit ambient. That was the coldest I've experienced. But and to be honest, given a choice between say minus 50, no wind chill, minus 30 with the wind chill, I'll take the 50 below.
Yeah,
Because that wind is snotty and that
horrible.
just cuts right through you.
Damn.
And I used to work up off Point Barrow in the 40 below wind chill. I'd be on the Arctic ice in that snotty conditions.
Oh gosh, yes, you did. I know you did. Wow. Well, I'll tell you what. This is a good time to segue into our COP26 discussion. I was hoping I would hear from Antonio because I did, he was in our chat. I don't know, he might just surprise us. I want to pull up the COP. This was the Counterpunch article that I actually, if everybody saw it, I did a video earlier. I read Robert Hunziker's piece, and that was kind of like a primer for the show. But what I do have here, guys, God, just try to get everything to work. Okay, I have another article here. Okay, I have the COP26 goals. And let's put ourselves in there so we can see this. And I'm on their website, and I want to talk about the goals with you. And I want to look at them. I don't know if you can see them, or did you pull up this page? I sent it to you.
Yeah, I read through it earlier. I can pull it back up again and for
All
my own
right.
perusal.
I thought what we could do is talk about these goals a little bit, and there's four goals, and then we could look at the ramifications and what I know there was a pre-COP page also, but I'm much more interested in looking at these goals. So if everybody is ready, Jim, you ready yet?
Yep.
Okay. So the first goal is to secure global net zero by mid-century and keep 1.5 degrees within reach. And countries are being asked to come forward with ambitious 2030 emissions reductions targets that align with reaching net zero by the middle of the century. And they're saying to deliver on these stretching targets, countries will need to accelerate the phase out of coal, curtail deforestation, speed up the switch to electric vehicles, and encourage investment in renewables. All right, Jim, have at it.
Well, first of all, this 1.5 degrees business, we're already there. I know the IPCC reports at 1.2, but they keep moving the goalposts. Now they say, well, now based compared to 1850 to 1900, it's
Right.
1.2. And so they keep moving the goalposts. I know Antonio and I discussed that the last time. We had a little bit of a disagreement on that, but they keep moving the goalposts to try and make it not as bad as it seems. Well, okay, so let's say they're correct. Let's say it is 1.2. Look at what 1.2 is doing. Then compare that to 1.5, which is going to be what? A 25% increase in the global temperature. That's only going to create even more craziness. So, but in all honesty, what I'm seeing is that the levels are actually more at 1.5. I'm seeing some 1.6. So some projections are already saying 2 degrees by 2030, basically before this decade is out.
Wow.
So once again, I really question, what's going on here. Now, as far as the deliverables, okay, accelerate the phase out of coal, sure, absolutely. Curtail deforestation, sure, absolutely. Speed up the switch to electric vehicles. I'll have a few words to say about that in a moment. Encourage investment in renewables. Okay, these are fine. Electric vehicles. You have to keep in mind, and this is something I'm always stressing, which is you have to do the budgetary analyses. When I was doing my oceanographic research, I was doing heat budgets. Okay? So here you have to do carbon budgets. Okay, so what if you have a vehicle and it's putting out a certain amount of carbon, okay, what does an electric vehicle? What's the amount of carbon they put out? Now I say, well, they're running on electricity. You still have to charge up the batteries. So what's the energy how is that source? Is it from a person's home that has their own solar system, solar panel system?
Yeah.
Fine, great. But if you're plugging
their own
in
solar
and your energy to your house is being supplied by gas or coal or diesel,
Right.
right, you have to do that calculation. Also, you have to go mine the lithium to make the batteries. Mining is usually involving heavy machinery operations. So, and that burns diesel. So once again, you have to construct the carbon budget. Now, in the long term, yeah, electric vehicles will probably put less CO2 in there. But to say that going to electric vehicles will get us net zero is disingenuous. It will not. You're still going to have
that
to
cost
expend
balance.
some carbon to get the material and then to keep the batteries recharged every time. So yes, it's it makes sense, but you have to keep that in mind.
Okay. So that there will be carbon burned for the foreseeable future. And as I showed
Yes.
Monday night in my show about these drilling companies, these oil companies, the fossil fuel industry is a huge obstacle. A huge obstacle. And I just
Yes.
don't see how that is going to just go away, by 2030. I 2030 is 2030 actually literally I say that 2030 gets the toilet flush. That's the 2030 toilet flush, because it's just 9 years from now that we're going to be in this transition when no one, is no, sorry. No, it's not happening. No.
That's funny.
You think it's
Well, I
happening?
see, but see, here's the other thing, though. I mean, it's like everyone says, get to net zero, everything will be fine. They're forgetting one very important thing:
Yeah, the
the
same thing.
oceans. The ocean.
Yeah.
There's so much heat, and the ocean's what drives the climate more than the atmosphere. Atmosphere has a role, but it's the ocean. The oceans now have 226 zettajoules of energy they've absorbed for the last 50 years.
Our
And
favorite word, zettajoule.
and
learned.
and the sinking is slowing down, so the heat is not even being sequestered to depth. It's staying in the upper hundreds of meters. That's the main driver of the sea ice melt, which will then start thawing out the methane substrate. So this heat is going to continue to diffuse into the atmosphere, further warming. So we could, even when we got to net zero this very instant, you're going to have heat diffusing out of the oceans for decades to come. And as I just explained, it's like even going to electric vehicles, whatever, you still have to. It can't be avoided. You will still be burning fossil fuel to get the materials to make the battery and then to keep recharging the batteries, depending on the source of the energy to recharge the battery. So I kind of, you made the flushing sound earlier. I think the toilet's already flushed. We're just in the swirlies right now.
Oh, shit. We're in the swirlies. Okay. Well, moving on then into the next number 2 as we are contemplating our swirlies. All right. Adapt to protect communities and natural habitats. And of course, nobody can argue with this one. I mean, this is adapt.
No.
We're going to have to. The climate is already changing, and it will continue to change even as we reduce emissions with devastating effects. So at COP26, we need to work together to enable and encourage countries affected by climate change to protect and restore ecosystems, build defenses, warning systems, and resilient infrastructure and agriculture to avoid the loss of homes, livelihoods, and even lives. Okay, Jim, have at it again.
Well, we can't argue. We have to adapt. And yes, we have to produce food, but there's another underlying problem that you don't hear discussed: overpopulation.
Well, yeah, I just nobody.
Right?
I put that up again.
The number's actually approaching. The number's actually approaching 8 billion.
Yeah.
And it comes back to a simple ecological principle: carrying capacity. You need land to house people. Need land to produce the food to feed the people, and more land is becoming uninhabitable because things are too hot, or we're getting flooded out, burned out, dried out, whatever. All sorts of crazy shit going on. And so you're going to have less available land. We're already creating climate refugees. We might even have climate refugees within the U.S., the way things are going, especially out west.
And everybody says we have plenty of room. Plenty of room. We have so much land. Plenty of room. And I'm not, believe me, what's happening with the Haitian, they are refugees for sure. And that is heartbreaking. Horrible. I mean, but the kind of room people talk about is like, oh, look at South Dakota. Look at North Dakota. Yeah, but people are not going to, or Nevada, they're going to live in the middle of a desert.
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly. And and how much land is really suitable to growing crops? That you have to look at the soil quality and so forth. So when just simply too many people putting more and more pressure on dwindling resources, that it's really not sustainable. In my opinion, it's just something has to give, and that's why you see someone like James Lovelock, who basically states that by 2070 or so, he expects to see at least 6 billion dead people, which would be 75% of current levels.
Wow, that's pretty heavy. Jim McHenry said plenty of room in Pennsylvania and New York. And there is room. I mean, we could definitely take in families if there is an organized sponsoring. So, Jim, you're getting all mushy. Your internet might be wavering a little, but yeah. And Jim, you're right again. Get rid of the gross domestic product. Oh, yes. Well, we would definitely have to redo everything, a degrowth paradigm, everything.
Get rid of capitalism.
Capitalism. Well, we talk about that, yeah. But
What
you
was that
think
called?
that
Capitalism.
capitalism, yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
I don't know if they talk about
it's very
the
bleak.
economic systems. Yeah. Do they talk about the economic systems at all in these at the COP? You know what? I mean, other than adapting. Well, let's see. Mobilize finance. Number 3 is mobilize finance. And it says, but I think they're more like not changing anything, more like just, okay, let's see. To deliver on the first 2 goals, developed countries must make good on their promise to mobilize at least 100 billion in climate finance per year by 2020. That makes me laugh. You think the Republican Party, they don't even want to give $1 billion. And then international financial institutions must play their part, and we need to work towards unleashing the trillions in private and public sector finance required to secure global net zero. Well, I definitely have ideas on some of those. I mean, and it stems
Please
from,
expound.
well, the billionaire
Expound,
class. Get rid of the billionaire class. And David says it's capitalism for the poor and communism for the rich. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, in a way, well, socialism or for the rich. The rich in this country, in our country, they run the show. We are in a serf and a peasant, fiefdom here, somewhat. We're getting there anyway, but. Yes, and Tina mentions monetary MMT, and of course MMT is what underlies the money system, and they're fighting over money in the Senate and Congress. They're fighting over the debt ceiling, and they're fighting, and of course the federal taxes really don't fund spending, but they're going to fight anyway. And so, who in the United States is going to authorize $100 billion in climate finance per year? With the fighting, we can't even get anything done.
Look at the infrastructure bill. They're like, it's already been negotiated down from 6 to 3.5 trillion. Now they want to gut it to 1 trillion, but that's over 10 years.
Yeah, I know.
And that's over 10 years, and that's just a paltry amount. So you say it's $1 trillion. Okay, over 10 years, that's 100 billion a year. So
it's crazy. It's crazy.
It's too little, too late, and it's not going to be able to do a sufficient dent in what needs to be done.
There's a lot of people out there that have ideas, though, as far as changing things, but can they get traction? It's tough. I mean, I look at the different websites of the professional organization and the business class and the wealthier people, and they don't want to give up their lifestyles. There's no change. And somebody said, well, it comes with also personal change. Well, yeah, okay, I gave up, or I'm willing to give up more, but is obviously Jeff Bezos isn't. He's building rocket ships. Is Elon Musk says yes, he's all for the electric revolution, but I don't know, what are they giving up? It's systemic. It's the systemic that has to change. We need
Yeah,
a
they have the
revolution.
attitude. Yeah, I've got mine. Screw everyone else. That's
Yes.
their attitude.
That's the
You
American
know,
way, babe.
Bezos. Yeah, Bezos riding the dick ship to space. I mean, really, he can stay there.
He can stay there. That's what I said. Let him stay there. Well, so yeah, but we need really a whole overhaul, and it'll never. I don't see it happening in my lifetime. You know, if there's enough activists, like Peter Kalmus says, we need 1 billion activists. We need 1 billion people. We need everybody that can get involved, and it's the younger people, because the older people are too stubborn to give up their ways, and the younger people that are not brainwashed by social media, which is a lot, unfortunately, are misled and misinformed. It's very sad. They also don't want to give up the lifestyles that they have. And in the other countries aspire, and I say this too, they aspire to be like us. They want the
Yeah.
Western lifestyle. Yeah. Yeah. Jim says everybody's an activist now or 5 years from now. Yeah, because they're going to get scared. Something's going to happen. Rich, crony capitalism is great if you're a crony. I like that one. That was good. That was good. Oh, we have a
I
good
think
group
that
tonight.
that must get the cheer.
All right, wait. Let's see. Let's give you that, and let me see which one. Okay, here. No, not that one. Here. Yeah, that works. I have to get my timing a little better for all these little toys. Yeah, I still have if everybody notices, I still have the chat pop. I've tried everything to get rid of it. Every time a chat comes up, it pops, makes a pop noise. I have worked on it with notifications. I have looked at every help page I could with Google, YouTube, Restream, Ecamm, 3 different software companies, written to everybody, been on a live stream begging them to help me, and I'm still getting the pop noise. Yep. Oh my God. Hi, Lorax. How are you? All right, so let's move on, since we know that finances are really a difficult topic. I mean, that we don't have enough time to talk about all that, and if we do, we're going to bring in some kind of maybe an economist. Let's get Richard Wolff in here. That would
that'd
be
be
it.
great.
Oh my God, I think I'll write to Richard Wolff. All right, well, maybe he would. So the number 4, since we went through financial pretty quick, work together to deliver. We can only rise to the challenges of the climate crisis by working together. At COP26, we must finalize the Paris Rulebook, which is the detailed rules that make the Paris Agreement operational, and then accelerate action to tackle the climate crisis through collaboration between governments, business, and civil society. Oh, I have something to say on
Well,
this.
the
sure you
problem
do
with
too.
the Paris Agreement is that it was non-binding. So
It was
it's
non-binding, right? I was
so
just sorry.
right there's an issue. So what do you want to say about it?
Okay, so what I want to say is, in this country, in the United States anyway, there were 70 million people that voted for Donald Trump. So 70 million people that have a bias against anything scientific or climate change. And I have, when I study the Heartland Institute, and I also go on to these chats every now and then to see what's going on, and in Twitter, and so many people are laughing. I make a comment in a sort of, right-wing area about why the people are coming here. And I talked about climate change as one of the issues. And I got 1 million people backlashing me. Oh, you believe that bullshit? Oh, that's nonsense. Oh, that's not happening. Oh, that's not real. So at the UN level, they're looking at whole countries. But at our level, we are looking at a population that is so divided, so horribly divided, that it's going to be a battle and a half to get the buy-in.
Yeah. You have a large segment of the population that's anti-science, period. Whether it's
Yeah.
about climate change, vaccines, evolution, you know, they're anti-science. They're anti-intellect.
Yeah, Jim says not only trumpets, but lip service liberals are the problem. Well, they're not liberals. Like whatchamacallit calls them, Nicole Sandler, conservadems. They don't have, they're not progressives. So it's, and then the progressives are the only people that really understand the needs, the great needs. I think there are people that are on the left that understand, but I don't know if they understand how critical it is that we make these moves. I don't know.
Yeah.
And we're going into politics, but it's political.
Yeah.
Working together. I see working together. We can't even do that here.
I can't even get the Senate to work together. Good gracious.
No, we can't. We absolutely can't, and it's really goddamn sad. So we just went over the goals. And you know what I want to do is I want to look at the page a little bit for you guys. Let's see. Do we want to see that? Let's look at wait, if it changes, I was going to show Boris Johnson's introduction. Do we want to see it? I think they were explaining. Yeah, well, they were explaining about it's really actually a good website to try to get your family and friends to look at. It's not that hard to understand to try to get people, but those people, they're so biased and they're already going to be built in to think that it's deep state, new world order, Soros is backing the UN climate, it's bullshit. I just hear it all the time in my head, but they do talk about this in the introduction, but I wanted to find the Boris Johnson one. Oh well, maybe it was in the pre-cop, if everybody doesn't mind me playing around with this. No, it's not, nothing's going fast. I don't know what's going on with this. Oh well, so Together for Our Planet, that's the touchy-feely part. This is the UK's year of climate action. Well, guess what? If this is the UK's year of climate action, then we should all support Extinction Rebellion. And I do have a video at the end of the show that you have to stick around for, because I am talking about Extinction Rebellion. So that's a perfect segue when we are finished with our little conversation. And we've actually been live for an hour. This went fast. Oh my God. But I'll look at this. This went really fast. I can't believe it. Usually, wow. Well, really quick, Together for Our Planet, the UK's year of climate action. We can't afford to wait. And so they're hosting the COP26, which could be our last. Who knows? And One Step Greener will showcase how people from all over the UK are already doing their bit on climate change. Nostradamus, are you still with us? Would you like to tell us about how people in the UK are doing their bit on climate change? I would love to hear it. Okay, well, does anybody have any questions? Because this is really, I can't believe it. I've had a great time with you tonight, Jim.
Thank you. Same here.
Yeah, it really did. But I do want you guys not to leave for the ending video. Boris is a tool. We don't need to hear him. We're not going to hear him. We were just going to make Oh, and yes, don't forget, Friday is Worldwide Climate Change Protest Day. And there's not anything that close to me, Jim. I'm not sure what I'm doing yet, but I am going to do a show with Jennifer Friday night, and I might actually go down to a little town, not my own town, but a bit bigger town with my sign. I may go down there and stand for a couple of hours and talk to people. So, yeah, I was thinking about doing that. So, all right. Yes, they are. XR is really vocal and very out this year. Well, does anybody have any questions? Oh, Let's see, Nostradamus lives in the UK. I've not noticed anybody change their habits. Well, you might, but it might be out of... Oh, did you know that, again, Spain is having flooding? I don't have anything to pull up, but I saw a video right before we went live that there is flooding in Spain right now. So they've got a volcano on one end, and then they have flooding in the country, by the way, if anybody...
Didn't Extinction Rebellion recently cause a shutdown of one of the major roads? Was it the M1 or something like that?
Let me see if I've got...
I thought I
can
saw
pull
that,
up.
but it was like blocked up on both sides, and
Yeah,
protesting.
They did. They had a week of... let's see if I could do this. All right, I'll pull this up. They had a week of climate action. No, 10 days. 10 days of climate action, and...
leading the world into that top conference, but on the other hand, still hasn't put a stop to a deep coal mine potentially being sunk in the west of Cumbria. Still talking about
You
a
seeing it?
£27 million road investment program, and still has done nothing to stop potentially a large new oil and gas field opening up at Cumbre field just to the west of Devon.
The moral disgust as how we have come to this situation and the deep, deep root of the catastrophe that we've already committed to. The words irreversible, the words inevitable, things like this that are coming through from the UN. We can't have these kinds of conversations where people are just discussing little policy moves and things like that. It's now, we're in breakdown now, it's catastrophic, people are dying.
Yeah, so that was basically their one of their things from they just had that whole week of action, but I'm trying to shut this off because it's playing in my ears. All right. It was playing in my ears, and yeah, I don't know if there's anything else. Let's look at their Twitter feed really quick and see if there's anything else that's interesting that you guys want to 7 hours. Fossil politics is dead. It can't handle the climate crisis. It's time to upgrade democracy. Yeah. Citizens Assembly. And there is an XR in the United States, and there's Friday for Future. So there's a lot going on that people can do. But of course, I then go on to see people saying, oh, are those idiots of Extinction Rebellion, those morons blocking traffic again? And it does hurt sometimes, I think, the working person, but how else are they going to get any kind of notoriety? Oh, and this was a good article today too that Greta had put. She shared the Gizmodo article. Summer wildfires emitted more carbon dioxide than India does in a year. In July, wildfires emitted nearly 1.3 gigatons of carbon dioxide, a record that was topped by August 1.4 gigatons. Between the 2 months, forest fires emitted an amount of carbon dioxide greater than all of India's carbon emissions in a year. So I guess we're starting off the COP with a really good, really good numbers, huh?
And I'm presuming that those values are a reflection of the fires in Siberia.
Oh,
that the firefighters actually just gave up because not only was it also burning the organic matter, which was releasing CO2, but the ground was so drying out and thawing out that there was methane burning as well. And
Awful.
it just got methane fires are difficult to put out, especially in a remote location. So they just gave up. So there was also burning methane. Good
Awful.
God, this just horrible, absolutely horrible.
Well, here we are. So we'll see what happens with this coming up COP. And I am going to thank, hi, Jean. I want to thank Andy. And Andy's from the UK also, so he knows what's going on there. He said he if they told the truth, that they need to tell the truth. Well, yeah, the truth, how bad it is. All right, Jim. Thank you so much. We're ending with a video. Don't go anywhere, guys. This is absolutely apropos for our Extinction Rebellion discussion?
If I can just say one final thing.
Absolutely, hon.
It was great being with you again, Sandy. I also want to thank you specifically because by having me on your program, I think was a big factor in helping me reach 1,000 subscribers on my channel. So I want to thank you and thank everyone who subscribes to my channel and supports and trusts the info I present.
That's great. Well, you're pretty valid to me. And I will thank you. That's what I love to do. Promote other people. That's what it's all about. Promoting others who are amazing and thanking everybody for coming. Thank you. Peace out till the next time.
Peace.
We love you.
Peace.
Now watch the video. We hold the following to be true. This is our darkest hour. Humanity finds itself embroiled in an event unprecedented in its history, one which, unless immediately addressed, will catapult us further into the destruction of all we hold dear, this nation, its peoples, our ecosystem, and the future of generations to come. The science is clear. We are in the 6th mass extinction event, and we will face catastrophe if we do not act swiftly and robustly. Biodiversity is being annihilated around the world. Our seas are poisoned, acidic, and rising. Flooding and desertification will render vast tracts of land uninhabitable and lead to mass migration. Our air is so toxic, the United Kingdom is breaking the law. It harms the unborn while causing tens of thousands to die. The breakdown of our climate has begun. There will be more wildfires, unpredictable superstorms, increasing famine, and untold drought as food supplies and fresh water disappear. The ecological crises that are impacting upon this nation, the UK, everywhere, and on the planet, and its wildlife can no longer be ignored, denied, or go unanswered by any beings of sound, rational mind, ethical, conscious, moral concern, or spiritual belief. In accordance with these values, the virtues of truth and the weight of scientific evidence, we declare it our duty to act on behalf of the security and well-being of our children, our communities, and the future of the world. We, in alignment with our consciousness and our reasoning, declare ourselves in rebellion against our government and the corrupted, inept institutions that threaten our future. The willful complicity displayed by our government shattered meaningful democracy and cast aside the common interest in favor of short-term gain and private profit. When government and law fail to provide any assurance of adequate protection, of security for its people's well-being and the nation's future, it becomes the right of citizens to seek redress in order to restore dutiful democracy and secure the solutions needed to avert catastrophe and protect the future. It becomes not only our right, but our sacred duty to rebel. We hereby declare the bonds of the social contract to be null and void. The government has rendered them invalid by its continuing failure to act appropriately. We call upon every principled and peaceful citizen to rise with us. We demand to be heard, to apply informed solutions to these ecological crises, and to create a national assembly by which to initiate those solutions needed to change our present cataclysmic course. We refuse to bequeath a dying planet to future generations by failing to act now. We act in peace with ferocious love of these lands in our hearts. We act on behalf